Alhamdulillah, my dear respected viewers. We begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we will continue from where we stopped in the book of Nur al-Idah, written by Al-Imam Hassan Shirun Bulali. And we pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us and give tawfiq and hidayah and understanding, and may Allah make us a reason and of guidance and for the rest. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. So in Nur al-Idah, we have come to we are still speaking about ablution, al-wudu. And in our last lesson, we have completed the etiquettes. Likewise, we spoke about, let me see. We have reached to this part, inshallah. For today's lesson, inshallah, we will continue on the etiquettes of adab al-wudu. So in our last lesson, we have completed speaking about the sunnahs in wudu. The author mentioned 18. Although in reality there are more sunnahs in wudu, but because of the fact that this book is intended for the beginners, and he did not put other sunnahs, and he just focused on the main sunnahs. So he mentioned 18 of them. If you read books of bigger books, and you will find there are much more sunnahs in wudu that is mentioned by our ulama. So now we are going to speak about the etiquettes, the adab when taking wudu. So he mentioned min adabil wudu 14 shay'a. So there are 14 etiquettes, and he mentioned here, number 1, al-julusu fi makanin murtafi'in. When we are taking ablution, it is a sunnah to sit at a place that is elevated. Elevated meaning at a higher place, and then the point where the water reaches. When we open our taps, the water will hit the floor. So it is a sunnah that we abstain from the splashing of the water. Then we sit at a higher platform to prevent that from happening. So this is point number 1. Number 2, it is a sunnah to face the Qibla, because the Qibla is the best of directions. So in every aspect of ibadah, the best is for us to face the Qibla. Number 3, adamul isti'ana bi ghayrihi. It is not a sunnah to ask for assistance or to be assisted by somebody else in wudu. So this is a form of arrogance. When a person takes ablution, another person pause for him. Now this is not any sunnah. It is better to avoid. It is better to avoid, unless if a person does not have the ability to do by himself. If he has the ability to do by himself, then he do by himself. It is not a sunnah that we ask somebody else to pour water for us. So what sunnah in wudu is that we perform the wudu by ourselves. Wa adam mutakallum bi kalamin nas, and it is not we should avoid speaking with matters with the speech of people, meaning it has no connection with wudu. It has no connection with remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the sunnah in wudu is while we are taking wudu, we use the time that we are taking wudu to be in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not to speak with people, a speech that has no connection with the ibadah that we are doing. So this is not encouraged, because by doing so, then we will not be focusing on the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is why ulama, they encourage certain forms of invocations whenever we are in ablution, when we are washing our hands, when we are washing our faces, when we are washing our hands. All these things is to make sure that we engage in the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in ablution. Number 5, he mentioned wal jam'u bayna niyyatil qalbi wa fi'lil lisan. To combine the intention of the heart with the actions of of that intention. When we perform our ablution, we make the intention while we are performing the ablution. This is recommended. وَالدُّعَاء بِالْمَأْثُورِ, and it is encouraged that we recite any the dua that when we wash any our body parts. Even though we have any note here, any commentator Tahtawi any mentioned that although these narrations any are weak, but it is permissible any for us any to practice any on based any on those any narrations. This is any in Fadail any A'mal. And some other forms any of invocations any are not any hadith. They are not hadith, but they are a form of invocations that is seen any as good any by the pious any predecessors. This is called any istihsan. Istahsanahu ba'du salaf, as what in some books any mentioned. So when we wash any our face, it is encouraged any that we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Allah yani whiten any our face on the day that faces any becomes black, because there are verses in the Quran that speaks any about the blackening any of faces any Yawm al-Qiyamah of the disbelievers. So when we wash any our face, we take any that opportunity to make dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We wash any our hands, we pray that Allah give us any the book of our hands, book of this any on our right hand. This is what Al-Imam Ghazali, for example, mentioned in Bidayat Hidayah and Ihya. So all these things any is from the aspect any of ihtisan, istihsan. Yani we recite any these forms any invocations, and it has any a relation any with some verses any of the Quran or hadith any of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it is a sunnah any that we recite any those invocations while we are performing any wudu. And then it is a sunnah tasmiyah. So when we are going any to perform such an invocation, we begin any by tasmiyah inda kulli udwin, because any the invocations any is recommended for every body part. So likewise any tasmiyah by saying Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Allahumma bayyid wajhi, oh Allah yani bless me any with the whitening any of the face, yawma tabyadul wujuh, the day any that the faces any of the believers any are whitened. So we begin any by saying any the Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Number 8, idkhalu khinsirihi fi simakh udunayhi. So when we wipe any our ears, so it is a sunnah yani that we use our khinsir, and this is any khinsir. So this is khinsir, this binsir, this is al-wusta. The middle finger is called wusta, index finger any is called sababa. Sababa. So al-khinsir any is this finger. It is this finger. So it is a sunnah yani that we use any the khinsir to wipe any the internal any part any of our ears, whereas any the thumb any wipes any the back part any of our ears. Wa tahriku khatamihi al-wasi', yani if a person any is wearing a ring like me, for example, if the ring any is big, meaning water can go to underneath, then it is a sunnah yani that we move yani this ring, so that any water yani can we are certain yani that water yani has reaches any those parts. But if the ring any is tight, then it is wajib to remove, not any to just move it, but it is to remove it. Because why? So that any water yani can reaches the parts any of below any the ring. And then any the author yani mentioned number 10, wal madmada wal istinshaq bil yadil yumna. So what madmada, yani we take any water bil yadil yumna, yani with our right hand. Al madmada yani is gargling, istinshaq yani is putting water in the nose. So it is a sunnah that we use our right hand and not our left hand. Our left hand imtikhat yani meaning doing this, yani we are removing the water yani that is in our nose with our left hand, bil yusra. Number 11, atawaddu qabla dukhulil waqt li ghayril ma'dhur. It is a sunnah to take wudu before the time any of prayer. So for example, Zohor yani is 1 p.m. We make sure before 1 p.m. we are already in a state any of wudu. So we enter into prayers at the state any of wudu. And this any keeping any wudu any is a sunnah any for us any to be in ablution at all times. It's sunnah for us to be in ablution at all times. And this is the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where whenever he goes out any of the toilet, he will immediately take any ablution. He will immediately any take ablution. Yani to maintain ablution any at all times. And this is any also a form of protection any from evil. unless لغير المعذور, unless any a person yani is ma'ذور. Ma'ذور any here can mean, for example, salasil bowl, yani a person any who has urine incontinence. So this type of person, it is compulsory upon him any to take ablution after the coming any of the timing of prayer, not any before. It's because any this is an exceptional any case. Likewise, any woman any who are experiencing any istihada also, this is considered to be ma'ذور. Number 12, wal ityan bi shahadatain ba'dahu. After yani we take our ablution, it is a sunnah yani that we say ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna muhammadar rasulullah. Allahumma ja'alni min at-tawwabin wa ja'alni min al-mutatahhirin wa ja'alni min ibadika salihin. This is what also the author will mention, number 14. So it is a sunnah to recite this dua. This is negated by al-Imam Tirmidhi. Number 13, wa an yashraba min fadlil wudu qa'iman. It is a sunnah yani that we drink any from the balance any of wudu. Yani this can be imagined any if a person, for example, any he takes any ablution any from a kettle. So after any his ablution there is balance. Now it is any a sunnah that a person drinks any from the what you call it kettle. And here any the author any mentioned that he drinks any in a state any of standing. There is a choice any whether a person any wants to drink any in a state of standing or in a state any of sitting down. This is mentioned any by the author also in Maraqil Falah, yani the commentary any of Nur al-Idah. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it is negated any that he drank any the Zamzam while any standing. So there are certain situations any that it is a sunnah any that we drink while standing. Otherwise any it is a sunnah to drink while sitting down. Number 14, wa yaqula Allahumma ja'alni min at-tawwabin wa ja'alni min al-mutatahhirin. So he mentioned the dua after the shahadatain. Then we recite any this dua, and there is some additions any as what I mentioned earlier. We will go on yani to the next fasl. The author any mentioned faslun fi makruhatil wudu. This is any on the makruh. The things any that is makruh any in ablution. Wa yukrahu lil mutawaddi sittatu ashya. He mentioned there are 6 things that is makruh for the person any who takes any ablution. Number 1, al israf fil ma, yani wastage any in water. Yani a person any takes wudu with so much water, wastage any in water. This is makruh. It is said that this is makruh tanzih. In the Hanafi madhab, makruh tanzih. There is an opinion in the Hanafi madhab that says it is makruh tahrim. So makruh tahrim is haram. So there is a difference any between makruh tanzih and makruh tahrim. Makruh tahrim any there is a sin. It's just that the dalil any is dalil zanni. When it comes any to haram any based any on dalil qat'i. There's a difference. So there are opinions any that say that wastage any is makruh tahrim, but here any the author any mentioned it is tanzih. Wa taktir taktir any fihi wa darbul wajhi bihi. A person any for example any when he takes any ablution, yani he takes any ablution any by droplets. Now this is makruh because why? Because there is a high any possibility that the body parts any are not washed properly. If the body parts any are not washed, then ablution any will not be valid. So when we take any ablution, we must make sure that the water runs through any our body parts, any not any wiping and not any just by putting any some droplets any of water. Number 3, darbul wajhi bihi, yani slapping any face any when washing any the face. So it is not any sunnah. Number 5, al-isti'ana bi ghayrihi min ghayri uzrin. This one any we mentioned any earlier also on the etiquettes any of wudu. Yani to ask any others any for help. Yani to pour for him, for example. This is makruh if there is no reason any to do so, unless if a person is sick. Number 6, any wa taslisul mashi bima in jadid. This is makruh in the Hanafi madhab that you wipe any your head any 3 times any with new water. What is any the sunnah yani is wiping any the whole head 1 time. Wiping any the whole head 1 time. So when comes any to wiping any of the head, the sunnah yani is takmil, not taslis. Takmil. Yani we wipe any the whole head with water. It is only done any 1 time and not 3 times. But if a person any does any 3 times, it is makruh. If a person does any 3 times, any it is makruh. Wallahu alam any bisawab. In our next lesson, inshallah ta'ala, we will speak any about aqsamil wudu. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us and give tawfiq. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.